Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us at Temple Baptist Church, worshiping online this morning. My name is Amanda Hoffman, and we're so glad to have you here with us today. We are hoping to be even closer on August 2nd when you will be able to come and worship in person. Again, we're going to keep you posted on the guidelines that we have to follow as we follow the restrictions placed upon us. So look forward to that, and we will continue to keep you posted. July 29th, there will be a Zoom prayer meeting at 6:30. Please contact the office if you need help getting Zoom working or if you need any help finding the codes and things like that. July 30th, Fuel will be meeting for a game night, so be ready for that. It will be all outdoors, a wonderful time together. And we are anticipating a garage sale, so please be sorting through things, looking for things, but please don't bring anything by church yet. We're not quite ready to store things as of yet. Pastor Solomon will be sharing his second part of a 4-part series. And then we're going to have a little break. We'll hear the third and fourth part next month, so you can look forward to that. And we're very excited that MCF Worship Band is here with us today and will be leading us in worship. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's nice to worship the Lord together. Let's worship the Lord with a new song this morning. It's called No One Beside by Elevation Worship. Okay, let's worship the Lord together.
Not doubt in the darkest night, it still goes on. The anthem of my God within my heart is a treasure that cannot be bought. When all else is faded, it will not. The presence of my God, oh, magnify the Lord. Let us exalt His name together. No one beside you, Lord. Honor and praise are yours forever. Before your throne, in the mystery that can be known, is the majesty that yours alone. How glorious you are! You are the one who redeems the wrongs that I have done, reigning over all the days to come. How glorious you are! Oh, magnify the Lord.
Same Mita, Nai Same Mita. Gantale Mishiba, Tapatane Chata, Yeshu. To know your beauty, Kuroya Chihachima, Lone. To know your my beauty, Chizuro Tayuchima, Lone. Rani Boma season, or Mita. Mama chile tu along lun yao sha Dino Boma the stigeda Di chingo ao mingeda Rani Boma season, or Mita. Mama chile tu along lun yao sha Dino Boma the stigeda Di chingo ao mingeda Kurochilun loba Same Mita, Nai Same Mita. Gantale Mishiba, Tapatane Chata, Yeshu. To know your beauty, Kuroya Chihachima, Lone. To know your my beauty, Chizuro Tayuchima, Lone. Rani Boma season, or Mita. Mama chile tu along lun yao sha Dino Boma the stigeda Di chingo ao mingeda Rani Boma season or Mita. Mama chile tu along lun yao sha Dino Boma the stigeda Di chingo ao mingeda Loba Yeah Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Tara dwe ta de long dwe Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Tara dwe ta de long dwe No Mashiach Pinyazo Twe Yeshu Krito Bina Tego Songa Yelu Chingo Pe To know Mashiach Sepi Chou Nao Chinwe De Gale Dum Yao Sepi Pyeong ma ching ko pai me mo pwin ke do chu sin se Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Tara dwe dan long dwe Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Yeshu ya tui don long lao de Tara dwe dan long dwe
Hello everyone, let's praise our God together with the song called Available.
You come, I am available. I say, yes, Lord, I am available. Here I am with open hand, counting on your grace again. Less of me and more of you. I just wanna see you move. I hear you call. I am available. I say, yes, Lord, I am available. I hear you call. I am available. I say, yes, Lord, I Here I am, here I am. You can have it all, you can have it all. Here I am, here I am. You can have it all, you can have it all. Here I am, here I am. You can have it all, you can have it all. Here I am, here I am. You can have it all, you can have it all. Here I am, here I am. You can have it all, you can have it for the one who gave me life. Nothing is a sacrifice. Use me how you want to, God. Have your done within my heart. I hear you call. I am available.
Well, old Paul is still on his way to Rome, but as we found out last week, a northeaster came by and kicked those plans in the teeth. And so Paul and Dr. Luke are caught in this storm, cold, hungry, and lost somewhere in the Mediterranean. The storm is on day number 9. Let's pick back up right where we left off. This is Acts 27b, Final Adventure, Part 2. You know, guys, sometimes, in life, you make plans, and then life has a way of coming alongside and just kicking your plans right in the teeth. It's real. It gets rough. It gets raw. But you know what? God's not spooked. He's not spooked by any of it. And he stays in it with us. And he was about to come through for Paul. Well, Paul stood up and decided to give a second speech. And I forget what day this was, 7, 8, 9, 10. This was past the bad point where they were really low. All the men were low. And Paul gave a second speech because God had come through for him the night before and gave him a message. He said, Paul stood up, said to the men, the sailors, the soldiers, including Julius, we were all there. Paul says, men, I told you not to leave Crete. You should have listened to me. Then you wouldn't have all this trouble and this loss. Paul just couldn't resist saying, I told you so. And I said, I'm putting it in there, Paul. Shows how human he is, But he said, but now I want to tell you something. And that is, you need to cheer up. None of you are going to die. The only thing that's going to be destroyed is the ship. Last night, an angel of the God I serve and worship, the God I belong to, one of his angels came to me last night and said, Paul, don't be afraid. You have to stand in front of Caesar. And God has given you this promise that he'll save the lives of all the people sailing with you. So men, Paul said, men, there's nothing to worry about. I trust God. I'm sure everything will happen just like this angel told me. We'll probably end up crashing on we've got to crash on some island somewhere. All right, that's what Paul gave. That was to the men. Well, guys, the nights went on. Night 10, night 11, night 13, night 14 is when it happened. It was dark. It was the middle of the night. We were still being blown around. We have no idea where we are. We can't see anything. But some of the sailors had a feeling, had a sense that we were getting close to some kind of land. And sailors are experts at reading the wind. And when you get close to land, sometimes the winds feel a little different. And the water and the waves feel a little different. We knew we were still getting slammed, but they could tell something's different, guys. We might be coming up on some land. All right, so what they did was they take soundings. This is kind of cool. They've got these weights. They tie them on the end of a rope, and you drop it out, and you hang on to the other end of the rope. And you see how far it goes down before bloop, it hits the bottom. You see how much rope it took before it hit the bottom. Then you pull it up, and you have that spot mark, and it shows you, oh, it took 100 feet. We're 100, and that says the water is 100 feet deep right here. That's how far away we are from land. So they took one of those soundings, threw them out, it went down, 30 feet, 60 feet, 90 feet, 100 feet, 120 feet, blunk, hit the bottom. 120 feet. Okay. Pulled it up. Waited 30 minutes. The wind blew us a little bit further, threw out another sounding, went down, bloom, 30 feet, 60 feet, 90 feet, bloom. Pull it up, getting a little excited. It was 120 feet deep. Now it's only 90 feet deep. As you get closer to land, the water becomes more and more shallow. And so this showed them, guys, we were heading toward land. Now you think they would be excited. The problem was it's the middle of the night. They can't see a thing. Now you think, well, that's no problem. Just coast into this happy, sandy beach, right? But what is out in the water around most beaches, hidden underneath the surface as you get closer to coming into land? Giant rocks, guys. Rocks normally are outside in the shallows of water. You hit some of those, it's going to bust your ship apart. You do not want that happening in the middle of the night where you don't know which way you're supposed to be swimming to get to land because you can't see the hand in front of your face. That would be terrifying. So the soldiers, they're half excited, but they're also freaking out because they're coming in hot. 120 feet, 90 feet, they're coming in hot. We're going to hit land in another hour and a half at this rate. And so what they did is, guys, they take all the anchors, just throw them out the back of the ship. 4 anchors right out the back. Boom, boom, boom. We got to stop this ship. And just pray and wait and try to hang on until the morning time. All right, because if we can get to morning, then we can kind of navigate, see the rocks, and get ourselves into this beach. All right, so the guys, it's still dark. They're still freaking out, but they've got some hope. They throw the anchors out. Now, at this point, there was an escape attempt. Some of the sailors wanted to leave the ship, all right? And so they lowered the lifeboat to the water. It's dark, right? They said, hey, we're just going to put out some anchors, a couple more anchors from the front. they really put out the lifeboat. Now, Paul saw it, and he said to the soldiers, including Julius, he said, hey, if these sailors get away, none of you guys are going to survive either. You've got to all be in this together. And so Julius was like, go get them. And the soldiers went over, cut the rope away, let the lifeboat fall. We were all going to be in this together. Sneaky, but it didn't work. 3 a.m., guys, because nobody slept that night. We were just waiting, praying, sunlight, come quickly, come quickly, come quickly. 3 a.m., it's still dark, but we're getting closer. Paul stands up and says this, guys, eat something. For the past 2 weeks, you've been waiting and watching, but you stopped eating things for the last 14 days. Now watch this, verse 34. Highlight it. You might think this isn't important, but this is the hugest verse in my chapter, in my opinion. Verse 34, highlight it, circle it. Paul says to the men, now I urge you, it's pitch dark. Now I urge you, take some food. Take some food, men. You need it to survive. Take some food. Quit freaking out and take some food. None of you is going to lose even one hair off your heads. So take some food. So Paul acted first. He took some food, thanked God for it right out there in the open in front of them. God, I thank you for this food. Broke it and ate some. And now the rest of the men started to feel some courage. And they started, every one of them started taking some food and eating. They hadn't eaten, guys, in 14 days. They were freaking out. But this was their breakthrough. Were they on shore yet? No. But Paul had told them, you take some food. And they were taking some food. So they all ate as much as they wanted. And then they took all the rest of the food and the grain and just threw it overboard. At this point, they're not trying to make any more money. We're just trying to survive and get to this island. All right. Night number 14 was a long night. Finally, the sun came up. Daylight on day 15. And they could see it. It was right there in front of us, land, just a few hundred yards out there in the water, but everybody could see it. It was land, some kind of island for sure. We have no idea where we are on the map, but it was land and it had a beach. And so the sailors said, hey, it's daylight now. Maybe we can actually just sail right in on the beach and just steer around some of the rocks. And so what they did is they took those anchors, cut off the ropes, and the wind just kind of carried them and tried to sail in, got a little bit towards the beach, and then whoom, whoom, we hit a sandbar. And we were still a long ways away, a couple hundred yards. But we hit that sandbar hard, guys. And we were stuck in that sand and that muck. We weren't going nowhere. But the wind and the waves were still bashing our ship from the backside. And the ship started to get cracks and then splinters and then pieces of the wood started breaking. And every single sailor on that ship knew this ship is going to break apart because we ain't getting off the sandbar. Now, this was now the prisoners started thinking, this is our time. If we're ever going to make an escape, this is our time to make an escape. Those sailors tried to do it. We're going to do it right now. And the soldiers said, hey, we need to kill these prisoners. Because what happens if a prisoner escapes and you're the Roman soldier that was on guard supposed to be watching them? Yeah, it ain't going to be good for you. So soldiers said to Julius, hey, let us just go and kill all these prisoners so none of us get in trouble. Now, Julius had a problem with that because he had bonded with Paul. And if they're going to kill all the prisoners, that means they got to kill Paul too. So Julius said, don't do it. No, instead he gave an order. He said, hey, any of you prisoners and all you men, if you can swim, you go ahead. You jump in, you swim, you get to shore. If you can't swim, you grab a hold of one of the pieces of wood, one of the pieces of the ship as it's breaking apart, and you use it, and you just paddle and get yourself to shore. And that's what happened that morning number 15. Some men swam, some men were floating on bits of wood, but the whole ship broke apart. And yet all 276 of us got safely to land. After 2 weeks, our nightmare at sea was over. Well, I got some stuff to say. You might be reading along in Acts chapter 27, you think, that's it, we're done for the night. No, we ain't done. Because I know I'm a medical doctor, but I'm about to do a little preaching right here. All right? So here we go. Some of you guys out there in 2020, in the future, I know you're going to be asking questions, wondering, why the heck did he put this chapter in here? He said he didn't have a lot of space. He's trying to tell an important story about the spread of Christianity. Why is he going to go waste a whole chapter on basically a sailing trip that was full of nightmares? Like, what's the point of it? There's not any Christian theology here. We're not learning about God. You know, what's the point of this chapter, Luke? I know some of you guys are going to say that, all right? And so I'm going to do some preaching here All right, so my answer, why I'm putting this chapter in here, and I hope you'll come to love it once you hear my reason. But number one, it's part of our history. I mean, it is. This really happened. For me and Paul, this was just 2 years ago. All right, it's literally how we got where we're at right now to Rome. Okay. But number two, listen to me. Tune in now. Listen to me here. I'm putting this in because the mess in our story is just as important as the rest of our story. Did you hear that? Ooh, that's some preaching right there. The mess in the story is as important as the rest of the story. And this is a part of our mess. All right. So now I want you to soak this in. All right. Lean in here. What I'm about to say. All right. You Christians there in America in 2020, listen to what I'm about to say. All right. If you don't know it, you're going to learn something tonight. Guys, the Christian life is not a smooth, straight line of worship songs and wins. If you think that's what the Christian life's about, you need to get that out of your system. All right? Some of you are thinking, and maybe you preach this to other people, hey, come get saved, and then you'll be blessed. Is that true? Yeah, but what does that mean? What does that look like? Does that mean you're not going to get cancer? Does that mean you're never going to get cut from the sports team? Does that mean you're going to have a fairy tale marriage? Does that mean everything's going to be pretty and smiley every day of your Christian life till you go to be with Jesus? Guys, do not listen to me. Do not buy that nonsense version of Christianity. It is toxic and it is trash. Guys, the Christian life, hear me. The Christian life is not an unbroken string of Hillsong concerts and happy dances. It ain't. It's not sunset romances, dream jobs, and endless upward mobility, guys. I'm here to tell you, it ain't. Sometimes, and this is the truth, sometimes you flat out get your teeth kicked in. Sometimes your best plans to serve God get shot full of holes. Sometimes your heart gets smashed, not just broken, smashed. Sometimes your perfect little plans get shredded smaller than little pieces of confetti and then blown away by a wind like a northeaster. You feel me? Are you catching what I'm saying here? Sometimes your Christian father leaves your mom to go find a younger woman. Sometimes your Christian pastor fails you at the time in your life when you needed him there the most. Sometimes, guys, you get in a car accident and God doesn't stop it. Sometimes, guys, your ship gets broken into 1,000 pieces somewhere, who knows where, in the middle of the Mediterranean. And you're floating on bits of wood through the night. Guys, Paul had plans to serve the Lord for his life too, right? Being in prison for 2 years wasn't part of it. Remember, Paul had just been in prison for 2 straight years up in Caesarea, waiting to have his trial have a final decision. One governor comes and goes, another governor comes. He's just rotting away there in prison for 2 years, right? Finally, he hits the golden buzzer. And what do you think he was thinking? Now's my chance. Finally, I can get some justice. I'm just going to get on this ship, sail to Rome, go to see Caesar. He's going to judge my case, set me free. I'm going to be able to write my memoirs, make the Roman Times bestseller list, sipping tea, sitting by a fire by Christmas. Now, what happened to those plans? They got kicked in the teeth. Instead, his plans got rocked by a northeaster. He went days without food. I was there too. It was me too. Cold, wet, hungry, exhausted, seasick. Guys, let me tell you, it sucked. And I'm putting it in the book. I am putting it in the book. I don't care if it has to take a whole chapter. It's going in. Why? Because this is real Christianity, guys. Do you get it now? Is it starting to sink in? Let it sink in, guys. This is good. That's why this book makes you strong. Some of that fluff out there, some of them other Christian writings, that's not going to make you strong. Fills you up with a bunch of false expectations. This will feed and nourish your soul. All right? This is messy Christianity. And this, guys, this is what's normal. And you know what? It's okay. It really is. God is in this. He was in it with us. And he's not in it just like a cliche. He's in it like a companion through the mess. God soaked us in it. God is in the mess with us. Is it perfect? No. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. God is in the mess. If you haven't figured it out from my account, you should read my first account, Luke, and see how messy the life of Jesus was from beginning to end. I mean, look at his birth in an animal feeding trough. Come on now. Messy. But God is all up in messes when his kid is the one with the mess. Am I getting through? Am I getting through a little bit? I know I'm preaching a little bit here. So what do you have to learn to do? Hey, you got some stuff to learn to do from this chapter. You might not know what it is, but I'm about to break it down for you. You have to learn to dance in the holding pattern. Soak that in. You got to learn to sing a little bit from prison like we were back in chapter 16, right? You got to learn to have some joy, to fight for some joy instead of holding your breath, waiting and praying for the mess to go away so you can go back to having joy in your Christian life. Man, that's some shallow joy. You need to learn how to get your joy, how to fight for your joy while you're in the mess, all right? Mess, guys, is part of the journey. You got to learn to find a joy that can endure through the mess. You got to learn how to find your enjoyment and your joy and your strength and your peace in God in the mess. You got to learn, hear me, to take some food. That's why I think that's the most important verse in this chapter. Take some food, Paul said to the men. And you guys got to learn that too when you're going through mess. Before you see the seashore, before it's daylight, while it's still dark, while you're still in the mess, you got to learn to eat. You got to learn to take some food when things are as dark as they could ever possibly be. And when you learn that, when you learn how to keep eating and keep doing the things that'll feed your joy while you're in the mess, whew, Christians in 2020, when you learn that, hey, you'll be strong. And my account will have finished, fulfilled its purpose for your life. So when you're going through storms, guys, you got to learn to do things you enjoy and things you need to do. You can't just put everything on hold and just like pray and just be waiting. I mean, you do got to pray, but while you're praying, you can't let yourself freeze up. Okay? If you're slack during the day of distress, Proverbs says, your strength is limited. When you go through a tough time, if you just like freeze up and all you can do is pray, but you can't eat, you can't do any other things that feed yourself and feed your joy, guys, that's not strong Christianity. Okay? You got to learn. Because sometimes, when we're going through something hard, we're like, you know what? I just need to wait till this ends. When this ends, then I'll worship. Then I'll eat food. Then I'll have my joy. And guys, that's not the Christian way. The Christian way is living defiantly, joyfully through the mess. It's scrappy. But you got to learn how to live defiantly. You got to learn how to take some food, even when everything else is falling apart. You got to learn, guys, listen. You got to learn to eat in the storm. All right? And for that, you got to learn to lean in a little bit closer to Jesus during the storm. You got to learn to squeeze him a little bit tighter. You got to learn to pray with a little less polish and a little more honesty. And it's going to be raw. It's going to be a little more grit in those prayers, a few more tears. I think of David in the Psalms. You guys got the Psalms in your Bible, right? David wrote it 1,000 years ago. I guess for you guys in the future, it's more like 3,000 years ago. But at any rate, those Psalms are awesome. Guys, those are his diary entries, his prayers before God. You ever read some of them? Some of the trouble and the messes David gets in, and he says, God, I hate my life. Basically, summary, read some of them Psalms. I hate my life. I'm in despair. Everything's not going the way I want it, and you're not doing anything about it. And I don't get it, God. Why? A lot of grit in them Psalms. And God called David, that's a man after my own heart. You should try to be like that. God likes it when his kids are real, not phony, not trying to pretend there ain't no mess. That's not Christian. All right? It's rough. It's raw. It's real. And guys, it's all right. It's all right. So are you going through any storms right now? Maybe something in your life, that's, it hurts, right? It's not what you want it to be. Maybe it's a relationship you thought you would be in and you're not. Maybe it's some development in your life. You thought you'd be here and you're not even like here. You're like somewhere way out in the Mediterranean Sea. You got something like that going on in your life? And if you do, I would just want to say, good. This is your chance to learn a lesson that will feed you the rest of your life. Learn to take some food. First of all, know that it's normal. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with you or your Christian life if you're going through some mess, guys. It's normal. Okay? So it's okay. Let that give you some peace. All right? And I just want to encourage you, lean into Jesus a little bit closer. Squeeze him a little bit tighter. Pray with a little more grit. Pray with a few more tears. And eat some food. Don't forget to eat some food. It's important. Don't stop eating. Don't stop praying. Don't stop dancing. Don't stop doing the things that feed your joy. Fighting for that joy. Fight for that joy, guys. Fight to trust God. Fight to keep loving him and loving those around you. It's rough. It's raw. It's real. And it's all right. And I'm writing it down in our story so that you guys can see your story reflected and harmonizing with our story. Because we're interconnected, It's just one giant relay race, and you guys are just us in the future. We were the carriers of the Spirit. We're gone. You guys now, Generation 80, you're the carriers of the Spirit. Our destinies are interwoven and interconnected. So see your story in our story. And let it give you strength, and let it give you comfort. As for me and Paul, well, it's winter, around 60 AD. We're cold, we are wet, we are stranded, and just like you, we're okay. We are okay. But where the heck are we? I mean, we have no clue, and without a ship, how are we going to get to Rome? Well, that will be next week, Final Adventure Part 2, which will actually be the last chapter of our account. So be sure you don't miss it. But as for this week, this has been chapter 27 of our story, Acts. Bye, guys.